Sometimes I prefer Torchwood for telling stories that Doctor Who just would not tell. That's a line from Erin, who absolutely adores Torchwood. Here's her little face when she found the hub inside a time fracture, and we watched Miracle Day recently. After me swearing off season 4, me ever wanting to watch it, I stand interestingly corrected. At 10 50-minute long episodes, this is by far the longest Doctor Who story. The longest story happening in the Whoniverse ever televised. Dalek Master Plan, get that shit out of here. Does it justify that runtime at any points? No, but it's still very good. Let's elaborate. Re-energizing the series with only 2 surviving team members and picking up from the fallout of Children of Earth, now with an American production crew beside it and none of the familiar Cardiff elements that made the series so big, Miracle Day really has a lot of things going against it. And I think reception-wise it's really fallen prey to some of the most obvious, easy criticisms to level at it. Oh, they Americanized it. Yes, but in what ways? Why did that become a bad thing? It lost its identity. Did it? Or did it just go to somewhere slightly sunny and have a new cast of writers? The real answer lies somewhere in between. It's a very interesting, flawed piece of TV, but regardless of how well the premise is handled, I have to applaud any sci-fi idea that gets this close to the mark. Oh my god, there is no Doctor Who iteration or era that would ever handle this. Not the VNAs, not the BBV, nothing. It's 2011, and suddenly, the world wakes up and nobody can die. It's such a strong premise, and they explore the political, the medical ramifications of all of it to such a degree that the series can coast off of the idea, just watching this model Earth fall to pieces. As I get older, I like socio-political stories. In the first half of Miracle Day, whilst Torchwood is still setting up, really earn its stripes and do the most with the concept. There's even parts where Russell starts getting into overpopulation. You know, I'm clenching my teeth thinking, oh, Russell. But it turns out I had nothing to worry about, as Miracle Day isn't commentary for any one thing. It's just an interesting doomsday scenario. One that honestly makes me wish Oswald Danes was the main character and Torchwood operated in the background. But hey, we'll get to that. I mean, look, this is basically a proto-run for years and years. We know that the best Russell is doomed timeline angrily political Russell. So imagine my shock when it turns out he didn't actually write many of these episodes at all. This came as a right shock to me because it feels pretty steady, uniform. It all feels like Russell as well. When a paedophile murderer becomes the voice of a nation, predicting and even kinda resembling Donald J. Trump. That's too cynical and too inspired not to be Russell. When the world goes to hell, evangelical America holds up the worst of humanity as an example of people who will save us from sin.
Man has risen again. We are angels.
Look, I'm not saying that Donald J. Trump is a paedophile, rapist, murderer to best of our knowledge, but he definitely felt like that in the years 2016 to 2020, yeah? That's how it felt. And that angle of the story is prescient. Fortune-telling, even. Torchwood as a series has a really low estimation on human society and human life and morality. It takes a core idea of Torchwood Series 1 and 2 and inverts it. In Torchwood, we're shown many times that there is nothing beyond death. There is no afterlife, and what there is a purgatory that is even worse than hell.
But if there's nothing, what's the point of it all?
This is.
Life is to be cherished and preserved, as messy and awful and disgusting as it can be. And then Miracle Day comes along and says, yeah, but actually living is a curse in itself. And I don't mean like living forever. Jack is the perfect protagonist for this story. But kind of the idea of living at all. Miracle Day somehow ups the ante in cynicism. It's gloriously fucked. But again, because I don't see people get past the, oh, they Americanized arguments, I really don't see it get judged fairly or even see the light of day. It's why I went so many years without watching it. Alright, so let's talk about those criticisms. What genuinely doesn't work? What were they right about? Well, I'm not going to sit here and defend Rex. Rex is an incredibly obnoxious character. Constantly angry, constantly cliche, a little bit homophobic even. Buddy, you picked the wrong show. He spends 10 whole episodes huffing about how lame Torchwood are, how non-protocol. But then suddenly he'll be like, hell yeah, we're Torchwood. Like, dude, come on, pick a lane, pick a side. Preferably the one where you're not in Torchwood. Esther, on the other hand, is just a good egg. What if you had a member of Torchwood who just didn't feel like they were up to it and was probably way out of their depth? But really, my main criticism is that there's not many Torchwood things for Torchwood to do. Because of the nature of the story, there's an inbuilt conspiracy. That's a really cool kind of story to explore, but even though they've teamed up with the CIA, there's only a certain amount of investigation work to be done in this premise, because it's shrouded in such secrecy. Too often are our main characters just waiting around for their next lead to come to them. Miracle Day isn't a threat, it isn't a villain, it's some supernatural event that has happened. For 8 out of 10 episodes, it's a faceless event that has happened. It's like throwing rocks at the clouds for most of the runtime. In my head, Torchwood Does America only becomes a problem if the story itself feels generic at any point. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. That would be a lie to say. Because whilst the show was always envisioned as CSI Cardiff, I think what's more important than the location is the message of Torchwood. The real bare bones of Torchwood is that when shit hits the fan, the worst of humanity and the wrongs of the system will bubble to the surface. It's not an alien off-world threat that will be the undoing of us, it's our systemic problems. Supernatural and unexplained only being an instigator for real societal decay, yeah baby, that's Torchwood. And like Children of Earth, this feels like the natural extension of that principle. Did Children of Earth do it better? I mean, yeah, obviously. But compare any piece of TV to Tortured Children of Earth and it's probably going to come up short. Spoilers for Miracle Day episode 10. I don't know how to feel about the actual threat. The three families are barely explained. I think I like this. Almost 10 hours of runtime and not explaining who the main villains are, where they came from, or what it really was that caused the miracle to begin with is a really gutsy, probably unfortunate move. That's a weird decision, but I like the mystery of it. I like that Jack gets to the very end of it and he's just, he's not the Doctor. He says as much.
Rachnos energy. An expansion of their hibernation matrix, maybe.
You don't bloody know, do you?
No.
He takes a wild potshot for fans who do actually care about that kind of thing. I don't know, something about maybe the Doctor told me about Silurians? I don't know. It's funny and it's cheeky, and that is Russell for that final episode, and you can tell. In all ways, this is an absolute Magic Wand Russell T Davies finale, on par with Last of the Time Lords and End of Time. So in a sense, it's a conspiracy where the conspiracy itself doesn't really matter that much, it's just watching the fallout, seeing the characters bounce around helplessly, and what that does for them relationship-wise. In fact, those are the best bits. The animosity, the spite that Gwen now holds for Jack, knowing that he's just a little bit useless. Knowing that he got all of her friends killed, and fried his grandson. When Gwen has to really lay herself down on the wire, she backstabs Jack, and I do not blame her. There's a lack of respect there now. Deep love, but no trust. It's so interesting. And that's where you get this line.
I don't know.
What have you done?
I don't know.
You've done something, haven't you? Way back when, in the long bloody life of yours. God, you've lived so long, you can't remember half of it. No, you think.
And listen, I'm not just saying this in light of recent John Barrowman news. The guy is an industry sex pest. And I will rag on him, but I still think he's one of the most talented actors in the country. Oh my god. No, yeah, I do. I fully do.
Think. What the hell have you done?
But that moment right there tells you exactly why Captain Jack Harkness as a character is totally played out. Gwen finds him predictable. The audience find him predictable. Jack has run out of tricks. Miracle Day doesn't do Jack a disservice, but it makes the perfect case as to why this character needs to be put to rest. And that's why I don't entirely blame Chibnall for turning him into an action figure in Revolution of the Daleks, even coming with some inbuilt catchphrase soundbites.
I'm Captain Jack Harkness, and I'm immortal.
I genuinely think this is the fate of the character. So, it's a good thing that Gwen still picks up the pace. Just seeing this poor woman's life go from bad to worse in every single successive Torchwood story, it's heartbreaking, and Reese and the rest of Gwen's family really help land this.
Don't you dare look at me and tell me you're obeying orders. Don't you bloody dare. Don't call yourself a doctor. Not anymore. Shame on you.
And seeing death camps and ovens and Gestapos knocking on doors looking for family and loved ones. These are rough images, and you don't just cart them out for anything.
They built ovens for people in our names. Now, I don't care if the whole of society bends over and takes this like a dog. I'm saying no.
The fact that it owns and justifies all of its Holocaust comparisons is worthy of praise alone. Hey Docky Who, where were you for this one, bud? I've seen some level this as a complaint, as a critique. Yeah, it's not subtle and it's not trying to be. Maybe before Trump and COVID-19, this might seem a bit too on the nose and unlikely. A high concept idea. But no, we live in an era that doesn't deserve subtlety. Miracle Day and Torchwood look you directly in the eye unflinchingly and tell you to fucking fix it. And Gwen inside the camps is some of the best Torchwood material ever. That's a high bar. So in the years since, this series just looks like a bit of a misfire. You shouldn't have taken it to America. I'm not so sure. There are entire episodes I genuinely think waste your time, but I guess in a conspiracy story you need red herrings. Especially as the audience is kept so in the dark. I don't know, it's fragmented but fun. And when I mean fun, I mean incredibly fucked up and there is something wrong with me. At one point a woman is crushed into a car and she's still alive during the whole process and she's just still stuck in there. Tell me in what other show you would see that in. I think Oswald Danes is one of Davis's best ever characters. Some people say he gets redeemed at the end and I'm like, did we watch the same episode? He literally blows himself to pieces murdering a woman, cheering and bragging that he's gonna go back to hell so he can chase the 14-year-old girl he murdered all over again. And that's Miracle Day. It's shot beautifully, as you know. I've edited with it just recently, and some of the shots you're seeing now, if I don't get copyright claim to hell and back, are absolutely stunning. Giving Torchwood just a little bit of money makes it look really, really good and convincing. Who knew? There's also like 3 explosions every single episode, which I really like, actually. Even if you were really bored by the non-plot, the explosions will keep you awake, that's for sure. Because when the history of Torchwood is written, they'll talk about the miniseries and the audios and the behind-the-scenes controversies, and I think people will forget how very good Miracle Day was.